Hello and welcome to Michael's Minty Music for today. Today we review INXS's second album, 1981's Underneath the Colors. It's pretty good. This is the track listing, and these are the tracks I added to my playlist. 5 out of 10, so exactly half here. This album's definitely good, but it's a bit more all over the place than their first album. They went in a variety of directions, I think, and it doesn't all work as well as I'd like. The flow is actually pretty good, though, despite the fact that only about half the songs are particularly good and interesting. The in-between tracks aren't super interesting, but they're all still alright, so they kind of managed to prop up the overall album quite a bit. There are a lot of tracks here that aren't bad, but aren't quite good. The opening and closing tracks aren't anything to write home about, but they are definitely far from egregious. They're not too bad. Despite the fact that most of the better tracks are in the middle and the back of the album still sounds pretty good overall. The speed is pretty much right in the middle. Faster songs are usually better ones here, with the slower songs being a lot more generic and more of a in-between. The genre is still a new wavy rock, but the speed and quality is less consistent, and they lean more into the sort of pop field with some of the more generic tracks. It's not quite pop for 1981, but it does sound like the sort of mid-80s pop sound. Overall, still a good album, but it could have been a lot better, and it could have been a lot worse. So it kind of comes together well, even though only about half the tracks are pretty good. There was one single released before the album, the opening track, Stay Young. My favorite here is probably Barbarian. It's the most like the tracks on their first album. Quick and new wavy, with a little bit of hard rock. It's almost a bit speed metal-ish thing going on, which I do quite enjoy here. I rank this album 5th out of INXS's 11 albums, so the worst of the top half. This is probably the best of their sort of mid-80s string of albums. It's got enough general consistency with the sort of not great tracks to hold up better than most of their other albums. It's definitely better than most of their 90s work, and I think it's the highest level of consistent quality when compared to 1982, 1984, and 1985, Shabu Shuba, The Swing, and Listen Like Thieves. Although Listen Like Thieves does have some really big hits that help it out. However, Underneath the Colors is definitely the worst out of their really good albums. Kick, INXS, and Switch are all almost perfect in my opinion, so it's definitely better. And X is kind of like the much more experienced version of Underneath the Colors. It's just got a higher quality overall, even though both albums kind of are in that sort of mid pop-ish rock sphere. X is just a lot more consistent. In addition, this album doesn't take my top spot from 1981. That goes to The Police's 1981 album Ghost in the Machine, which is definitely significantly better than Underneath the Colors. Ghost in the Machine is a really great album, a little bit more experience, and definitely higher quality song by song than this one. Next up will be JJ Scheff's second and most recent album, Treasure, released on February 14th, 2024. So this is pretty much brand new. I liked his first album, and this is more of a full album, so I'm really interested to see what the quality is like if he's consistent. So stay tuned for that, and as always, stay minty.